Well, hello friends out there, Rob here. Today I want to talk about the Polaroid One Step Plus. This is an awesome, fully automatic and fully manual through the use of an app on your phone. Polaroid camera shoots that beautiful classic Polaroid size print that you all know and love. I can't wait to talk about it today. Guys, if you like this type of content, like and subscribe to my channel. Hit me up in the comments with the video. I need your help. Let me hit 10,000. Show your support. Hit that like and subscribe button. Okay. So let's talk about the camera. Do you think Polaroid takes great images? I don't know. Tell me about this. This is the type of image that you can expect to get from a Polaroid camera. And in this video today, we're going to talk about all the different things that you can expect to get from a Polaroid camera. We're going to go over the walk around, the features of this type of camera. We're going to talk a little bit about the successor to this camera. I'm going to share with you how these images are developed, what causes the different kinds of flaring that you might see or image shift change, as well as the development times with the camera, and share my pro tips with you along the way. There will be lots of samples to go from, and the nice part is I'm going to share with you samples that are at least 2 years old. That way you can see how the film holds up when stored properly. So if those are the types of things that you want to look at, let's jump into it with the walk around. Beautiful camera. Absolutely well made, classic iconic look. I got it in white. The upgrade to this model, the successor to the One Step Plus, is the One Step Now Plus. You can also get just the regular One Step. The Plus adds Bluetooth features, and that's where the electronic control comes in so that you can shoot in manual and things like that. We'll talk about that more, and I'll even walk you through the manual in part of this walk around. Okay, so as we're looking at this, let's look from the very front. This camera has a couple of very distinctive features. The lens right here, as well as the film eject. We've got a flash, we've got a soft release shutter button, which is a two-stage button. However, I'm not sure that this soft press, half press actually does anything. You may know. If you do, down in the comments, let me know. I have not ever found it to do anything. Now, on the new One Step Now Plus, half pressing, or the One Step Now cameras in general, half pressing will actually engage in automatic lens selection. Now let's talk about that lens. I want to get so that you can see, maybe you can see right over here. You see in the lens right there that we've got some, yeah, you see it now. There you go. We're actually selecting two separate lenses. Polaroid cameras are zone focus. I'm not sure about the new i2. I'm looking forward to get my hands on that, but I'm not quite sure about that one. And what zone focus means is that the lens does not focus to a specific, an arbitrary point. It focuses to a specific point, one that is already set by the lens based on what kind of apertures that it's going to be, as well as the lens itself, how it's made. These are plastic lenses, right? Which adds to some of that charm, but we've got two separate zones here. We can focus to portrait, which is close, you know, think 4 feet and closer, and then we can focus to landscape or group, which is further away. You would think 5 feet and further. The reality is I found that the group shot and the portrait shot don't necessarily overlap, so I find that I get better results when people are about 6 or 7 feet away in the group shot and about 3 or 4 feet away in the close or portrait shot. On this camera, this is something you must remember to change manually based on how you're shooting, just like you would focus an image. Otherwise, you will get out of focus or blurry shots. It's just the way that it is. It's an easy process, but it is something that's updated on the One Step Now Plus. Okay, so as we continue looking over here, we've got our flash. This is a xenon flash. It is a completely manual and automatic flash. We'll talk about that manual function later in the manual app on the phone. We have a Bluetooth button. This plus button right here, which is what gives it the plus name, allows us to do a couple things. I'm going to turn the camera on, and by turning the camera on, the Bluetooth button is flashing. It's looking for a phone to pair with. I'm going to press it once, that'll turn the button off, the Bluetooth off, uses less battery power. Push it twice, it'll turn orange, letting us know that we are in self-timer mode. Now there's no film in here. If there was and I pressed the button, it'd give us 10 seconds to count down, but there's nothing to count down to right now. So we turn that off and continue going through. As we move over here, we see our viewfinder. The viewfinder is not lined up with the lens, which means that there will be some parallax. Parallax is the difference in composition between what you see and what the camera sees. The closer you get, the bigger the difference will be. Angle, pro tip, angle the lens inward, right? And that will help get rid of the parallax. Okay, underneath the lens, we actually see that we have a 3-position button. This is for our exposure compensation. In the middle, it's at 0. To the left, as far as the picture taker from the photographer, it's at +1 exposure, and to the right, it's at -1 exposure. Down here, we actually have a light sensor, and up here we have our metering app that will tell us our distance. That's going to be useful in the app later. Since we're at the front, we're going to go ahead and look right here. Opening the front of the film release, we actually see where our film goes. Up in there is where the mirror is. We'll talk about that in a minute. And these are the pinch rollers that actually pop the development packages and then spread it along the film as it ejects. You may need to clean these from time to time. Moving over here to the photographer's left side, you'll see it's just nothing, but this is that 45-degree angled mirror. When the image comes in, it bounces down and hits the film. That 45-degree angle image lets it expose to the film nicely. Turning around to the back, we see our viewfinder. We also see the back of that camera obscura where our mirror box is. And then on this side right here, this is where we see our on and off button, as well as an LED, a USB type B, and our flash override button. I don't generally use the flash override button, but if you ever wanted to, it's right there. The LED will be green, yellow, or red, depending on how much charge there is, and also what's actually happening. When the camera is on, it will tell you what the flash status is. Green or flashing means that the flash is on or off. Okay. Moving on over to the photographer's right side, you see nothing, and then we're back at the front. Let's move to the top. This is that lens selection that we were talking about and how many film are left. I love the fact that these are LEDs in a recessed camera body right there. It's just really cool, a nice little feature. Now at the bottom, we're actually gonna see, I've added some additional feet. These rubberized feet just let it fit nicely on things. And when we look right here, we'll notice we've got a tripod mount. The tripod mount is made of plastic, so be careful when you're using it. And a quick guide to remind you of different things, specifically to where the focus is for the portrait as well as the landscape and what the little plus button does. Guys, we've had a great time. Let's go ahead and turn the camera on. The camera's on, you should see it start to flash. And I'm going to bring my phone over here so that you can see how simple it is to pair. And let's hope that nobody text messages me while I'm doing this, right? Let's go to Polaroid. Boom. So let's get back to the very beginning. Now, the nice part is once we get this thing turned on, we can see, I'll get you a little shot of the Polaroid right there. So we can see that it's telling us some information down here at the bottom. At the bottom, it's telling us that we've got our lens in the portrait mode. If we move to the distance mode or the mountain mode, we'll see that it changes there. It's telling us how much battery, and it's also telling us that our Bluetooth is enabled with no film. Our remote would just allow us to trigger the camera remotely in automatic mode. Now, when we come over here to the self-timer, this will give us some opportunity to set up how long we want the self-timer to be. And trying to adjust this way sometimes is difficult because my hand's in the wrong spot. You know how it goes, touch screens and all. Moving on along, we've got portrait. This is going to help you get really cool portrait shots. It's actually using quite a bit of information. So we've got our light sensor here, and then we've got our depth sensor there. So it recognizes that things are too far or too close, and it will actually tell you if you're too far or too close as you're looking right here. So when you see this, it will help you set up to get the best portrait. What it's trying to do is it's going to do its best to give you some background separation as well as illuminate properly. That's something that the camera has to figure out on its own, which it's capable of doing, and it's giving you this graphical user interface, this GUI to make it happen. If you're a photographer, this makes plenty of sense to you, and you don't even know why you would use it because it seems self-evident. But if you're brand new and you're trying to get great shots, this is just an awesome little app to help a new photographer get awesome shots. So I really applaud Polaroid for building this app. Double exposure, as you would expect, double exposure. Okay, light painting. This mode is another cool one. I haven't played around with this mode very much. You can do this in manual, but here what it's going to do is it's going to leave the shutter open longer so that you can actually paint with light. It's also going to stop the aperture down to the smallest setting, and it's going to do all of this in the dark. That's going to leave the shutter open for a really long time, longer than the standard times, to give you the opportunity to use the light on your cell phone to write some words. Just remember to write backwards, or to do some other light painting things like take pictures of something, add additional lights, and get these really interesting spills, light spills that is. The noise trigger is exactly what it sounds like. It uses your phone's microphone to determine how loud something is based on the level that you set, and then it causes the camera to go off. And when it does, like if you were going to use the noise trigger for surprise. So when the guy walks in or someone walks into their birthday, surprise, boom, and then it goes off. That's what's happening here. Okay, manual mode. I want to talk about this. We've got to spend a moment here. This manual mode app is awesome. So notice we get our shutter speed from 1/125th all the way down to 30 seconds and bulb. We also get aperture from f12 all the way up to f64. Now, f12 sounds like a small aperture for you photographer types out there, and those that don't know, don't know. However, this is not 35 millimeter film. This is actually Polaroid film, which is closer to medium format, closer to half or 0.4 crop factor, which means f12 times 0.4 or half would be f5.6 or f6. So really, that's a relatively standard aperture on 35 millimeter. It wouldn't be considered fast or great for low light or for portraits, but it's going to give you quite a bit of range. So Polaroid has done a great job by giving us f12 all the way up to f64. This is really great, and they could have cheaped out and done things like giving us an f12 or an f16 or an f22, things that you'll find on Fujifilm, but here we get an f12, which is nice. What I would have liked to have seen would be an f8. Then we could have got an actual f4, which would really start to, or f4 equivalent, that would really start to give us some background separation. Look at this for the flash. We get 1 full power all the way down to 1/16 power. So you have the ability to actually control your flash output, which is really great. And then we've got auto eject after each shot or not. You can do this for your own manual multiple exposures. Now, we're not done here because I want you to notice that there's an exposure meter up here at the top, and it actually changes. Look, we've gone +3 stops all the way down to -3 stops. So you can use different aperture combinations and shutter speed combinations in order to help you get the best image possible. They have really spent quite a bit of time putting an app together that works for this camera, and I got to applaud them for it. They've done a wonderful job. I'm very excited about it. Okay, now that we've done that, let's actually talk about this film. So are you ready to get through the walk around? And if you are, go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe. If you've watched this far, it's obvious that you found this interesting and helpful. Help me out, help me hit 10,000 subs or more. Hit that subscribe button now. Okay, so as we're talking about here, what I want to talk about in this particular image is Polaroid's requirement for being used in different heat or environments like humidity and moisture and stuff like that. Humidity doesn't really affect the film that much, but the way you might store it could. If you look at this image, this is a beautiful image, right? Beautiful image. Down in Virginia Beach, great blue skies, detail in the sign. We can see my son, he's not underexposed on his blue shirt. You see his face, he's wearing his glasses. All is good in the world, lots of detail. Beautiful blue sky, gorgeous color balance from the yellow of the wooden boards and the browns and the white of the actual railing that he's by. Yeah, anyways, the point is a great picture, but you also can notice this purple or magenta fringing. This happens when it's too hot, okay? When the film is developed and the film is too hot, you get magenta fringing, color tint shift, okay? When the film is too cold, and I'll show you some later, you get a yellow or green shift, okay? That's because the film is actually an organic process. It's analog and not digital. So when the film is coated with the developing chemical, the temperature at which the chemical is doing its job and the consistency of the chemical, meaning if it is pliable and if it's viscous or not, has everything to do with how the image develops. Thick, older development paste as not at its prime will cause a more contrasty image. Pair that with a temperature that might be cold, we'll get a yellow or green shifted, very contrasty image. If you do that with something that's hot, you'll get a very contrasty red shifted image. Here, we've got a properly contrasted image. It looks great, which means that the only thing that was going wrong with the film was the development temperature. Okay, so I've known photographers that actually carry around little ice bags or things like that, or coolers to keep the film at a specific temperature when it's developing to keep the actual colors looking great. If you do that and you store your film properly, you can have excellent color balance on the film throughout the lifetime of the film. However, if you let film sit after developed in the sun, you can get UV bleaching. And of course, if it develops at different temperatures, you got that here. Now, I've told you all that so that you'll understand how the film works as we start looking at these great images. I don't want you to think that anything about these images would cause yourself to be afraid to jump right into it. That's just not the case. That's not what I'm trying to do. The film is excellent and I like it. So let's talk about this. This is actually one of my first rolls of film with the camera. This might be shot 2. This is my second roll of film, I guess, or somewhere around there. In this instance, beautiful contrast, great contrast curve, great colors. Notice we're wearing long sleeves, so awesome color. There's a little bit of motion blur on my son because he was riding. If I was panning with him, the motion blur could be on the background subject and he would be in focus. Just excellent colors, okay? Looking right here, some of these may be upside down. Sorry about that. I guess a lot of these are upside down. I guess they're all upside down. Okay, so now that we figured that one out, okay. So when we look at this, I love this image too. We talk about parallax and we talk about shooting a backlit subject. The sun's actually coming off the side over here. It's almost backlit. We've got a little bit of a dark image right here towards us. We can see the rim lighting from the side of the sun. I've actually, of course, gotten down by his bike and I'm shooting up. Parallax is well accounted for here. He's centered like you would expect because I'm angling and offsetting the camera for it. But I can't see exactly what's in the viewfinder because the frame lines there aren't any. And so I didn't realize that we're cutting off the top of this head a little bit. So something to keep in mind, something to consider. Excellent image though, absolutely love it. Continuing on the motif of riding around and playing, you just see that all of these shots, they're just bang on. They're great. Now we're gonna take that same idea, use the light of the sun plus the flash in auto mode on a tripod to get a self-timer shot with the family and check that out, boom. And I'm glad I remembered to set the actual focus or the lens properly because otherwise I'd have been sad. Just a great shot. Beautiful colors, wonderful detail, nice contrast. 2 years later, it's still looking like $1 million. 3 years later, going on 4 years later, we're 2024 now, yeah. Okay, now, of course, what do you do when you get a new camera and you're testing out? You take pictures in a high contrast, high dynamic range environment just to see what it can do. Beautiful detail in the sky, blue sky, white clouds, dark building, detail over here in the foliage, and we take a picture of a flower. Beautiful pinks on these, I think they're hydrangeas, and they just look really great. So wonderful job here. And another shot with mom and my sweetheart and my other sweetheart. Yeah, just beautiful blue skies. I was so excited with these rolls of film. This is like my first pack, number 15. I was so excited. I was expecting that this would be what I would get forever. And then that's not the case. So now I'm experiencing what it's like to shoot in a colder environment. So as you'll notice here, there's a green and yellow shift. The contrast is good. So the film's fine. It's just cold development. Beautiful shot of the car. Lots of inky blacks that are in there. The car is kind of a dark smoke black or charcoal. It's real dark and it looks nice down here at the oceanfront. A little bit of blown out area in the background because the camera is metering off the center, realizing it's darker and up in that lowering the aperture, possibly, but also slowing the shutter speed. Same kind of concept. Now we're in the sun. It's a little bit warmer for this shot right here, and we've got beautiful colors in the background. We've got nice sky, no detail underneath in the complete shadow, which is expected, but we've got ripples in the waves that we can see. Beautiful shot right there. I mean, when you think about this as a portrait or something, this is exactly what I think about. And those Polaroid colors, these are memories. You cannot beat them. These are exactly how I remember it. And if you wanted to know, can it selfie? Yes, it selfies. Okay, so pro tip for using the selfie, hold it arm's length. Put it, of course, in portrait mode if it's necessary, and put the self-timer on as well as flash. Angle your body so that the sun is hitting your face directly so that the sun is behind the camera. Polaroid, specifically Instax film, wants bright light. You're going to need bright light real bad. So if you use the flash, you will clear the shadows that would normally be caused by the sun underneath your chin and the side of your nose. Now you got a selfie. We can see we got flash turned on right there. Just a great shot. I mean, I love this little camera. Same kind of deal, and we are interspersing different packs of film on different days or different photographs from the same pack on different days. And look, cool development, magenta. Well, I guess maybe not cool. And anyway, this has a magenta hue, hot development, magenta hue. Yeah, it was taken on that was taken on the same day as this one. So yeah, you get what I'm saying. Okay, So nice shot up at the Virginia Beach Ferris wheel. We're on the top of it, taking a picture at 15th Street. But if you want to do something different, another pro tip, don't be afraid to play with light. So use constant light sources, turn the flash off, or use constant light sources and turn the flash on and see what can happen. Different colors will give you awesome effects. Here we're playing, my son and I are playing around with blue and purple and pink, and look at these different cool colors we get. He's holding a camera right there, and as there's a lot of motion blur, use a tripod if possible. As you see right here, we've used flash, and we've used that flash to saturate with constant light source to get this beautiful pink color. I mean, just not something you would normally see. Now, sometimes Polaroid does release specialty colors, specialty film developments like blue and purple and cyan, and they do different things, but this was done in camera using the flash on the camera, the manual mode, as well as, maybe it wasn't manual. Yeah, it was manual, F14 at 30 seconds, as well as external lights. Yeah, so cool. And then here we go right here. Another, just fun. The idea is we're playing with light right here just to see what the camera's capable of. And look at these amazing colors that we get. So it's very dark in the room. You have to understand that. We're photographing this where we've turned all the ambient light off. So it's dark in the house, and now we're only lighting with point sources of light at different places. So I'm using my studio lights to light these things up. You don't have to use studio lights. You can use any kind of lights. The idea is we're shaping and focusing the light to get these effects. Now, if I could have stood still a little bit more, or I'm sure I was on a tripod, or if I could have held my hand still a little bit better, probably would have been less motion blur. But then would it have been as fun? I don't know. This is an awesome picture, guys. When we talk about what you remember, like the Polaroid colors, this is part of it. This is the same concept, probably in the same month, if I'm not mistaken. But the idea is we're now at Jungle Golf in Virginia Beach. Immediately with these images, notice contrast, very high contrast, and notice the color shift towards the greens and yellows. So it's a cold day in high contrast. That's going to tell us, even here, this was actually a picture as we started going off. Still, you know, we're in long sleeves and everything else. A little bit overexposed, that's part of that high contrast. A little yellow shift is part of that high contrast. Even here, my son with the gorilla shooting backlit, there's enough flash, there's enough light to light up the face, but it's very difficult because of the high contrast to actually see a lot of the detail. So when you think about these kinds of shots, this is the stuff that happens with the Polaroid just naturally. Check it out. Same thing again, we got an employee there that took a picture of us. Did a good job getting us framed up real nice. It's easy to just hand this camera to somebody. But we've got a lot of contrasty areas. Remember the shots of the beach we looked at earlier? We didn't have any of that problem because the film was new. So the development paste was ready to work and do its job. The chemicals were fresh, right? If you're holding on to film, Polaroid has an expiration date. Definitely use it before that expiration date. Here, we're actually now being able to get a color that's more natural to white balance. And you say, well, how did that happen between the two? Well, it's because we went inside and ate, and that meant that we were sitting in the warmth for a while, so the ambient temperature of the film warmed up. Keeping in mind that pro tip that you're going to get color shifts with temperature during development. Keeping your pack of film at a particular ambient temperature or at a temperature under control while it's developing is important. That's why some people I know use a cooler, or even some people put their film in the cold close to their back pocket or their chest pocket in order to keep it warm. Some people even carry a little film bag underneath their arm to keep it warm in the cold. So that's why we have a contrasty image with a nice color balance. And another one right here, just to kind of round it out, looking at the hippo at Jungle Golf. Such a fun day, but it would have been nice to have had more images that were not contrasty like this. But I mean, when you think about it, does that take anything away from this? No, it kind of looks more like a memory than an actual photo, which is something that makes it cool, right? I mean, it's just cool, right? I mean, it's just neat, right? This is an unexpected outcome. And another one right here, we finally got one. This was taken just after the other one that was before. So those two were taken probably in succession. But we can see the beautiful color balance, and we can see more detail on his face. He's giving me big muscles by the giraffe, and I absolutely love it. So talking about unexpected stuff, this is the kind of thing that just happens with Polaroid film. Look at this shot. It's amazing. And it's amazing because of, like, why is this blue streak right here? So this was obviously taken on the other day where the colors, and it was a nice warm day. You can see short sleeves, short pants. Underneath, we saw before that we can get the great shots, no problem underneath that pier. But here we go. There's just a bit of the image, for whatever reason, has this blue streak. Now, what caused that? Man, it could be all kinds of things. Was it the flash? Was it the shutter? Was it whatever? Was it just a difference in the chemical? And that's likely what was happening. They were changing batches on the rollers as they were filling the films, and this is just part of the mix that didn't get it. So there are very few other images that will ever have this, but there's no image in the world that will have this kind of shot. These are all unique shots, and I just think it's absolutely amazing. Want to talk about unexpected? I love it. Continuing the same way, same day, check that out. This is another reason I think that the film was being loaded at the time, because these were consecutive shots. Of course, we didn't know it at the time because it takes 10, 15 minutes for them to develop. But here you go. Check this shot out. This is actually the development that wasn't spread right? Why? For whatever reason, I don't know, but look at what it got us. It's just an organic process that you can't predict. That's just awesome. And for that reason, I love using Polaroid film. FUJIFILM Instax film is so predictable. It looks great. Don't get me wrong. I love it for different reasons. But yeah, you just wouldn't get anything like this with FUJIFILM. I've never had a FUJIFILM exposure that's been jacked up like this. And I love it. Okay, so what happens if you give this camera to someone and just put it in their hands and ask them to take pictures at like a party or like a 4th of July party or something? And the answer is you're going to get great images. Check it out. Check that out. Okay, just nice standard shots. I don't even know if anybody knew they were supposed to be focusing the camera, so I just leave it, in that instance, I usually leave it in the landscape mode, and when it's on the table and people just take pictures. Some shots might be a little bit overexposed, too much flash. People don't know about using the exposure compensation button, but does it really matter? Look at these great shots. Lots of detail in the shots, cloud, detail in the sky, detail in the background, and I think it's better with the flash and a little bit overexposed than without the flash and non-exposed. Plus, the camera's just doing what it's going to do anyways. Like those photos dropping, it just kind of happens. There's so much fun to be said for these types of shots, and I want to leave you with these shots right here. Just a lot of fun that happens on a beer pong table when you get the last shot, or the first shot. I guess it doesn't matter as long as you get some shots. Guys, I'm Rob with Robert Hand Photography. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button and subscribe. Subscribe is what I need more than anything else. Help me hit 10,000 subs this year. It's been 10 years on YouTube. Come on, guys. I need your help. I want to thank you for watching, and I'm about to go have some fun with this camera. Bye for now.